Good morning to our listeners on Parliament Radio 105.5 FM, to our viewers on the Parliament channel, and to those of you joining us via the Parliament's YouTube channel, ParlView, on the World Wide Web. We welcome you this morning to this solemn occasion, the lying in state in honor of former Prime Minister Basdeo Panday, who passed away on January 1st, 2004, and his body was returned to Trinidad a few days later. And now, on this day, January 5th, Mr. Panday's body will lie in state at the Red House on Abercrombie Street in Port of Spain until 5:30 p.m. today. Since independence, this is the fourth occasion on which either a head of government or head of state has had this honor bestowed upon them, or their families have indeed accepted to have this honor bestowed upon them. The first, of course, being Dr. Eric Williams in 1981, and this would have been followed by Sir Ellis Clarke in 2011, and former presidents Robinson and Professor Max Richards. The latter two, of course, would not have been at the Red House, but at Tower D, which was the home of the Parliament at that time. The procession began on Broadway at 8:45 a.m. this morning and slowly made its way here to the Red House up Abercrombie Street via Independence Square. Members of the various protective services are now proceeding to move Mr. Panday's body into the Red House. Mr. Panday, of course, was the fifth Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, having assumed office in November of 1995 and served as Prime Minister for a 6-year period encompassing the 5th and 6th Republican Parliaments. Mr. Panday's career in Parliament began in 1972 when he was appointed an opposition senator following the general election of 1971, made famous as the no-vote campaign election. When the leader of the opposition was appointed, Mr. Panday was one of the opposition senators chosen to occupy the opposition benches in the Senate. He was then subsequently elected to the House of Representatives in 1976, representing the constituency of Couva North. He became leader of the opposition in 1981, and between 1986 and 1988, as a member of the National Alliance for Reconstruction, he would have served as Minister of External Affairs and International Trade. In 1988, he would have parted ways with the National Alliance for Reconstruction and formed Club 88, which then became the United National Congress, of which he was one of the founding members. Mr. Panday was appointed leader of the opposition for a second time in 1989. He would then go on to be appointed Prime Minister in 1995. He would again serve as leader of the opposition in 2002. So a very long and illustrious career of parliamentary service, which culminates now to him, his body returning to the Red House for one last time. On Monday, Mr. Panday's body will again lie in state, this time at the Southern Academy for the Performing Arts, and his funeral will be held on Tuesday, January 9th. Mr. Panday, of course, was an attorney at law who practiced as an advocate for workers' rights, also becoming the President General of the All Trinidad Sugar and General Workers Trade Union in 1973, a position that he held until his appointment as Prime Minister. Several members of the public have gathered outside to witness the procession, and indeed a visitor's book, a book of condolence rather, has been stationed at the Red House and will be stationed there until the date of the funeral. Members of the public wishing to pay their respects to Mr. Panday can, of course, enter the Red House at the appropriate time and sign the Book of Condolence. The procession is now making its way very slowly into the Red House. They've made their final turn and are on the compound of the Red House at this moment. The casket being borne by 8 members of the Protective Services, who are proceeding in a slow march towards the rotunda of the Red House. The national flag of Trinidad and Tobago is being flown at half-mast at the Red House in honor of the former Prime Minister. The members of the armed services are ever gently, ever carefully lowering Mr. Panday's body into its position. To those of you old enough, this is quite reminiscent of 1981, when Dr. Williams' body was placed almost in this very position at the Red House. I say almost because with the restoration and rehabilitation of the Red House, there is now a lower level basement, if you will, that would not have existed in 1981. And this is indeed a very fitting tribute to someone who devoted the majority of their adult life to public service and indeed representation of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The band that held the national flag in place is now very delicately being removed, and so the flag alone is draping the casket of Mr. Panday. This allows for the flag to be folded in half and the band replaced. The bearers of the casket are now marching away. And the bearers are now receiving their hats, which would have been removed in order to allow them to carry uh, the casket into the Red House. All with great pomp and ceremony. and this especially for our listening audience. The casket has now been opened. And the stanchions surrounding the body are being fully put in place. And at this time, members of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force have taken up positions surrounding Mr. Panday's body. And from prior experience, every hour, on the hour, the person surrounding the casket will change. Possibly being members of a different arm of the defense services. And this will continue until 5:30 p.m. when the lying in state at the Red House will come to an end. So members of the public wishing to pay their respects to former Prime Minister Basdeo Panday. The Red House will indeed be open from approximately 10 a.m. and members can file past and pay their respects. First to pay respects today is the President of the Senate, Senator the Honorable Nigel De Freitas. You are viewing the basement of the rotunda of the Red House, where the body of former Prime Minister Basdeo Panday now lies in state. Members of the public, again, wishing to pay their respects, may do so from approximately 10 a.m. today. And the body will lie in state today at the Red House until 5:30 p.m. On Monday, January 8th, the body of Mr. Panday will lie in state at the Southern Academy for the Performing Arts, and his funeral will take place on Tuesday. We thank you for joining us on the Parliament channel for this very solemn event, and we hope you have a pleasant day.